Alright, in this video I want to go over just basic long division. And so our problem here is 396 divided by 6. And what I like to do as my first step is I want to write some multiples of my divisor out to the side here. And we're going to see here shortly that having those multiples ready to go is going to help us divide. So I'm going to write my multiples of 6. I always want to start with 6. That's my first multiple. 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54. And the 10th multiple of 6 would be 60, but we're not going to need the 10 multiples of 6. We're just going to need the first 9. And then on the other side of my division problem, I'm going to write a little reminder here. And that's the dirty monkeys smell completely bad. They don't just smell bad, they smell completely bad. And that reminds me to divide, multiply, subtract, check, and bring down. And I want to do each of those things in order. So I'm going to look at my dividend. My dividend's 396. The dividend's always going to be in the house, or it's going to be the first number. It's the number that's getting divided. It's the total number of things that we want to place into groups. So I'm going to look at each digit. I'm going to go digit by digit inside my dividend, and so that means I need to start with 3. And the question I need to ask myself when I start with this D for divide is there a multiple of 6 that's really close to 3, but it can't be bigger than 3? And so if we look over to the left-hand side here, all of our multiples of 6 in red, we see we don't find a multiple of 6 that's going to be close to 3 without being bigger. So I'm actually going to go ahead and draw a 0 there. And you might have some people tell you, well, hey, you don't need to do that. That's just an extra step. And that's true as long as you have a really good grasp of long division. But for now, putting that 0 there is going to remind us that we don't actually put a digit above the 3 in the hundreds place, but that our first digit in our quotient is actually going to be in the tens place. And so for now, putting that 0 there is going to help keep our digits lined up and keep our digits in our quotient in the right place. So I have my 0 above my 3, and now I'm going to multiply. So multiplication is always going to involve the divisor 6, or whatever your divisor is in your long division problem. So you're always going to multiply by that 6, or that divisor. And each digit in your quotient, so each digit on top of your dividend is going to get 1 term to be multiplied with the 6 or the divisor. So 6 times 0 is 0. And the next step underneath the M for multiply is subtract. So I'm going to find the difference of 3 and 0, and that's going to be 3. And now the next step below the S is my C, and that stands for check. And what you need to be sure that you're checking is, do I have any numbers that need to come down? And I can only bring one number down at a time, and I need to bring down the number that's right next to the answer to my subtraction problem. So the number right next to that 3 is going to be the 9. I'm going to bring that 9 down. And a good rule of thumb is every time you bring a number down, so we checked, we did need to bring the number down, so we brought the number down. And a good rule of thumb is if you bring a number down, you got to go back to the top. and divide again. So now our question becomes, okay, is there a multiple of 6 that's really close to 39 without being bigger than 39? So we look at our multiples of 6 in red to the left, and we see that 36 and 42 are the closest multiples of 39, but 36 is the closest without being bigger. So we're going to go with 36 as our multiple. And if we count our multiples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we find that the sixth multiple of 6 gives us 36. So I'm going to write a 6 up above my 9 in the quotient. And then since I just divided, I'm going to multiply. And remember that the divisor always gets multiplied during this step, but that the 0 in the quotient already had its turn. So we're going to multiply the 6 that we just wrote down in the quotient by the divisor 6, and that's going to give us 36. And the nice thing again, too, is if you don't remember off the top of your head, man, what is 6 times 6? Well, you already took the time to write the multiples out to the side, so you just have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So we just multiplied. Now we're going to subtract. So 39 minus 36, that's going to give us 3. And so now I need to check, are there any numbers I need to bring down? Well, yeah, there's that 6 in the dividend I need to bring down. And remember, if you bring a number down, you need to go back up to the top and divide. And so the question we ask ourselves now is, okay, is there a multiple of 6? Oops, I forgot to write down my 6 next to my 3 here. Sorry about that. So now we go back up to the top since we brought that number down. And we say, okay, is there a multiple of 6 that's really close to 36 without being bigger than 36? And it turns out that 36 is exactly 36. So, and it's still the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th multiple. So I'm going to write that 6 up there. And I still have to go through all my steps. So I still have to multiply 6 by 6, the divisor 6 by the new 6. Gives me 36. I find the difference of those, and I get 0. So I'm going to check. Do I have any numbers that I need to bring down from my dividend? No, I do not. And so my answer is 66. My quotient is 66. Another way we know we're done is my remainder is 0, and my remainder is less than my divisor of 6. So the answer, or the quotient, is just 66. Now, one of the cool things about division is we can actually use the opposite operation, multiplication, to check our division problem. So the way we check a division problem is we actually take the divisor and the quotient and we multiply them together. So we have 66 as our quotient. We multiply that by our divisor 6. All right, so I have 6 times 6 gives me 36. Carry my 3. Going to add a little plus sign there. It's going to remind me to add that 3. Now I need to multiply 6 by the 6 in the tens place, which is 36. Add 3 to that, and I get 39. And so here's where I check to see if I did my problem right by comparing the product of the quotient and divisor to the dividend in my division problem. So the dividend in my division problem is 396. The product of the quotient and the divisor is 396. And so since they match, we're in business. We did it correctly.